This is gonna be a video I've made before a while ago, but I want to make this again. I think a while ago I talked about how these people tried their best to make me subscriptive to what happens to me now. You see this thumbnail of this cover image that you saw before clicking here. You see this, person in a bikini. This is somebody I followed in 2014. I didn't know who she was, and I followed her, and finding out that by the time when I followed her, she was not 18 yet, and I was in my mid 20s, mid to 26 or something like that. And so, not knowing, finding out that when I followed her, she was not an adult, and I was surprised because she looked like an adult, even though she wasn't, right? And now what they're doing is they force me to have stimulations toward kids of all ages. And so when they do this, they're like, you see, but in 2014, right, about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, you followed this person. So what's happening to you today is natural, because now what they're making me is like, they make me experience stimulations towards kids of all ages, and from the younger kids to the older kids. It's falsified. I can feel immediately like what the hell is going on. And it's because anybody who looks young, who's very young, who looks young, who even if they're adults, they're gonna give me false stimulations. And so today when they make me experience that, they're like, but in 2014, 9 years ago, you followed this person that you see. If you look at this person, first of all, she looked like she's in her early 20s, right? It's one of those people who looked older than her age. And me being 26 years old, thought, okay, that's somebody that's an adult, because she looked older, right? In reality, she wasn't. I never even talked to this person. I don't even know who she is. I never had a single interaction with her. But I just follow her on Snapchat thinking that she was like a young adult. Never had a single interaction in my life, but follow her social media. And she had very interesting storylines, like she had a very interesting life. She was traveled the world and whatever. So actually, it's been a very entertaining social profile to follow. But never had an idea of how young she was, because she looked older than her age. This is the kind of people that looks older than their age, and so you think that they're older. They know that she was that young. And so now when they do this pedophile type of torture, right? They're like, but no, almost 10 years ago, you followed this person who was not an adult. So today, what you're experiencing is you. It's like, no, you making me have stimulations. There was this, in the last video, this kid this older kid, she was dancing, they made me have some stimulations, crazy. And I was like, oh, it's because most likely she's a kid. And I found out she's just a 17-year-old kid, that's why. And in my mind, because they can create perceptions toward even younger kids, like a 9-year-old kid, and force me to have like perceptions like in different fashion. For a 17-year-old kid that look like they can almost go as a young adult, it's gonna be easier. And I know that's what they did, right? I looked at her, I was like, okay, this stimulation is too much. And when you look at her profile picture, Jesus, this is like skinny little girl. Like at least what you see, that thumbnail you saw, that is a person who very womanly looking, even though she was not a woman yet, right? And this Brazilian teenage that was dancing, that they make me have extremely stimulations, is a kid that's like kind of but in the video, the perception of this person looks more womanly. That actually is, she's really like she's a teenager body, right? And it's like a skinny, it's nothing womanly. But in the video, that they'll give me some stimulation sensation, and for a second they'll like try to they gave me like this extreme like stimulation, which was for me a trigger to find out, okay, that's probably because she's a kid. Because the only time they do that to me, not the only time, but when they do that, usually it's because she's an underage kid. Like, you get an intense feeling. I'm so tempted to just pull up that video and show who I'm talking about. But then they just go back into like, what can we say to, but in 2014 you followed this person. 2014, I followed this person. And so today, when they do this manipulation toward kids of all ages, from the babies, like very young babies, There's like a 9-year old. I made a video about this 9-year old video. You should see how they make me look at this baby. To the older kids, where okay, if you can do that to a 9-year old, you can easily do that to an older kid who looks like they're, like they can go either way, like 17 to like 19 or something. That like that when you get that age gap, they can go either way. And that's one of those kids, and they try to force me to get like six strong stimulations. I was like, and like, but would you guess? And the other argument was, would you guess the age right? It's like, I might have a year off, or like, or something like that. But what does it mean? Like, am I supposed to be guessing people's age? I'm not gonna do that. But I know what I'm reacting to. The way I'm reacting to this is not natural. The way I'm perceiving to that is not natural. Especially when you look at the profile, because if they can do like if the video is done certain ways and whatever, they can create a perception easily. But when you go in the profile of a picture of this person and you see how young she looks at, this like skinny like kid, teenagers, like, oh my gosh, so super typical kid. It's like in the video they could do something, because of how the videos are done and whatever. But you look at the pictures, like, this is like such a teenage kid. You're forcing me to have these perceptions. I understand. But because what they've been doing to me has been done to others, because it's been something they've been doing systematically, and because I've been talking about it for a while, they try to find ways to make you accept these things. And so they go like, okay, in 2014, so this year, there's proof, because in 2014, you follow this person that you see. This person who looked like an adult. You follow her. You see the thumbnail, she looked exactly like that when I follow her. Exactly. I was shocked to find that she was not an adult when I saw her age. When I followed her, I was like, what? After, like, I followed her, and then, like, years later, like in 2020, that's when I'm like, oh my gosh, I followed her, she looked like an adult. Because she was like one of those people who look way older than their age. And I was like, what? And to them, it's like, it's proof. You see? It's like, it's proof that I followed somebody who looked like an adult. When I was in my mid-20s, I followed her because I thought she was, I was shocked. I was truly surprised that this person was not an adult when I followed her, because the way she looked is like, what? That's not an adult. And so now today, when they make me have this like perception toward these young people, these kids, these teenage kids, from even sometimes they best with me with like a 21-year-old, I'm like, oh my gosh, this, like, because at that point they also, to me at this age, like, some of them is just like, oh, you give me like a weird, like, young, like, wow, they almost look like kids to me. And so I'm like, I get stimulations. And that's the things they do to me, and that's nasty things they do. But they try to always find ways to make you acceptive of the manipulations. And so in this case, it's like, but in 2014, you follow this person, who, when you follow her, she was not an adult. So that's proof. See who I'm talking to. See who I'm talking about. Look, can you imagine you in your 20s, you see this person, you're going to think she's somebody, an adult. Immediately. An adult. I thought I was like, oh, okay, she's an adult. But years later, 2020, when they try to find ways to make me subscribe to that, it's like, oh, but remember this person, and when you follow what, I was like, Jesus, she looked like she was an adult. That's why I follow her. And in my mind, they were even trying to like go back, but when you went back, I was like, Jesus. And you have to be strong. Because today, what's happening is they're forcing you to get stimulation toward kids of all ages, from the babies who are really like babies to the older kids who are about to be adults. And so when they do that, it's like, but you follow this person in 2014 who you thought was an adult but wasn't. That's proof. And mind you, never had a single interaction with this person at all. Never had a single a hello, how, nothing. Just been following her for Snapchats or Instagrams or whatever, and how she go to, see when she travels, and to be a typical follower. It's so nasty. And to be honest, I'm glad I follow her because she has a great life. She very interesting life. She traveled the world. She has things happening in her life. This is like somebody that you can easily follow because of the life that she lives. Funny posting, things like that. But to them now it's like what it's like whatever they can to try to make you accept what you're experiencing today as natural. They're gonna try to pull up whatever they can. The person you found in 2014 that looked like an adult. So today when they force you to get stimulation toward these kids or young people, that's you. Remember? And I've made these videos about this person so many times. And I'm gonna continue to make this video. And I even have her picture that she looked like that. This is what this person looked like. That's the things I have to deal with. Tell my target individuals, stay strong. Do not subscribe to these things.